We are live. We are live. Oh. All right. Feel free to join at any time, use.
On what, Instagram?
Yeah.
Oh, now I see it. I didn't see it.
Join at any time. I mean, yeah. You want me to share it to you? Because I can do that too. Hey, Chris. Hey, Wayne. Oh, all right. I wonder what this is going to give. Because, yes, go live.
Oh, see?
Whatever. All right. Are you good? Yeah. All right. So, as usual, I'm just going to give people time. Hello, Wayne. Feel free to comment. Gentlemen who are watching, and as people join Uzziah, you can feel free to share it. Because that usually doesn't happen. It doesn't always share. So, that part. Anyway. So, as I give people time to chime in, just want to make sure that we're all set. With the music playing in the background for good ambiance and whatnot. But I think we're all set on all fronts. And I think we're going to do great. We're going to be great. We're going to do great things. How you feeling, Muse?
Same old, same old.
I guess I have to call you Uzziah. I have to be like a professional instead of just saying Muse.
It doesn't matter to me.
Give your whole entire name. Well, you might want to put headphones in for one of your devices. Oh, it is. So is the feedback on my end?
Mm-hmm.
But you can hear me on Instagram though.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Just making sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna hear you from my phone regardless.
Right. Yeah, I don't know why this won't connect on my headphones. That is all right. You know what? Whatever. Anyways, we're gonna give it like 2 more minutes, and then we're just gonna go. Oh look, there's Chris sharing and liking my stuff. Hello, friend. Episode 2 is about to get on our way. I feel like I give this a lot of time. Can you see like any comments
This
on
echo is
Instagram?
driving me insane.
Huh?
This echo is driving me insane.
What is?
The echo.
Oh. I don't know whose end it's on. I mean, it probably is, but like, there's no way for me to like turn it down.
You don't have headphones in.
I do, but for some reason, my headphones doesn't connect when I go live on Instagram.
So connect it to your laptop or whatever device the other device you're on.
On my computer?
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing.
I'm connected. My AirPods are connected to my laptop.
Well, you also have like Apple computer.
Well,
Listen, one day we'll get it all together and then all will be well and then we can move on. But, anyways, until then. All right, so it's about that time. We're just going to get started. Um, and then people will join as they join. But, anyways, so Uzzy, welcome, world, welcome to episode 2 of Black Man Heal. It is entitled Man Up. So I'm going to introduce our guest for the day, and then we're going to ask the questions and then move on out of your way. So Uzziah is a colleague of mine. He is a friend of mine. I've known him since like forever. He is a teacher at his local middle school. He is also a football coach, a former football player, a preacher, teacher. Did I leave anything out?
no.
Leader, youth leader. Sorry. So he is the president of a set of churches that is in Massachusetts. He is also the vice president of the Young People's. I am the president at our local church, and then he is the vice president. So, AKA Uzziah just does a lot, and Uzziah knows a lot. So that's why we brought him on here. So, Uzziah, welcome. Glad to have you here. Glad that you agreed to be here. Great. So, question number 1, mental health, right? So, this is a conversation, obviously, about mental health in your experience as a man, as a Black man, and a young Black man. You're like 25?
Mm-hmm.
25. Cool. So, in your terms, in your understanding, mental health, what is it? How has it impacted your life? Let's start the conversation.
I'd say really mental health is just the general well-being of your mental, your emotions, your personality, everything that involves being up here, whatever it may be. That's part of your mental health. I genuinely think that nowadays mental health is more on Front Street, more than ever before. Obviously, because of a lot of things that are going on in society. Social media has helped that, but I genuinely feel like as a young Black man, my mental health isn't as important as others, whether it be male, female, Black or white. Um, the mental health of Black men is often forgotten about. It's often put on the back burner. It's often ignored because of men have to be a certain way. We have to uphold a certain image, which definitely runs into your next question. I don't want to like spill over and take over, but mental health is definitely something that is very important because a lot of young people nowadays are suffering from depression, suffering from anxiety, suffering from a whole bunch of things that affects their mental. And we need to get better as people of color in general to support our people with their mental health. But it starts at home. We have to make sure we're good within ourselves before we can make sure someone else is okay.
Yes, indeed. It's interesting that you said that as a man, it's obviously necessary, but it's not always talked about and catered to. And that's why we're here, right? Because the conversation has to happen. A lot of people don't understand what mental health looks like in men. And being a counselor, I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about it. What does it look like in men? Which then leads to the issue of toxic masculinity, right? So before I give a definition, I'm a teacher first, so I always have definitions of things. But toxic masculinity, Uzziah, tell us about it. What is your understanding of it? How does it play out in your life specifically, and then in the lives of other men around you?
Toxic masculinity is really just the stereotypes that put men into a box of strength, dominance, and like leadership. But not all men are cut out to be the strongest. They're not cut out to be the wisest. They're not cut out to be the most dominant, nor be the leader of the pack. And I feel like when it comes to toxic masculinity, that is one of the main reasons why men struggle with their mental health, because we are being held to these old fashioned standards where it's not it's not really likely nowadays. Things have changed. Obviously, nothing is new under the sun. We know that. But the more and more, we get into it, it becomes a problem. There is a I should have looked it up. I wasn't even thinking about this until just now. There's like a sound bite on Instagram where it's like let me see if I can find it. Read your definition real quick so I can
Okay.
find this.
So, the definition that I found of toxic masculinity is a set of attitudes, ways of behaving that are stereotypically associated with men that has a negative impact on men and on society. Some examples of these things are misogyny, violence, unchecked aggression. And I definitely want to talk about the unchecked aggression. Unchecked aggression, the need of power and or dominance, and then other things like that. And the reason why I wanted to talk about toxic masculinity is because like there's a difference between healthy manhood and like toxic masculinity. And I think a lot of people and a lot of men like try to overcompensate for the lack of ability to communicate effectively and all of these things that are happening. And it's like I need to have the conversation about what can we do to address toxic masculinity, especially in the Black community, because I think for too long the narrative has been about like the angry Black man, the aggressive Black man, the abusive Black man, the absent Black man. And it's like, what? We need to debunk that as often as possible. So that's why I wanted to discuss it. Did you find the soundbite?
Yes, I found the story, and then I'll say the quote too. So the story is a man is talking about how his grandfather. He says, "My grandfather walked 10 miles to work every day. My
Mm-hmm.
father walked 5 miles. I am driving a Cadillac. My son is in a
Mm-hmm.
Mercedes. My grandson will be in a Ferrari." And then he goes on to say, he said, "My great grandson will be walking again." And the quote says, "Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. And weak men create hard times."
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely relate to this. This quote, this quote definitely hits home because it's true. We're in a generation where things are a lot easier to things are a lot easier to how can I say this? We've lost our way as Black men, I
Okay.
feel like,
Mm-hmm.
because we're sitting here trying to live a life that we weren't meant to live. You know what I'm saying? We weren't meant to fit into the norms of society. We weren't meant to be just your average Joes. We were meant to be kings. We are
Mm-hmm.
kings. We are
Mm-hmm.
leaders.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever we don't lead and whenever we're not in front of the pack, whatever it may be, it doesn't even have to be you leading a group of people, just you leading your life. You know what I'm saying? Being in control of your destiny and being in control of what you can handle. One thing I preach and one thing I preach to all my friends, not even preach, but bring it to my friends, is control the controllable.
Mm-hmm.
And we've lost hold of that. We try to control every little thing, but that's not what we're meant to do.
Mm-hmm.
We're meant to control what we can control.
Yeah.
We're meant to navigate through these hard times as best as we can, but we tend to throw in the towel because things get too tough, things get too rough. But obviously, there's a lot more that comes with that. That means if we're throwing in the towel because something gets hard, that means that we haven't been able to. We've lost our way when it comes to dealing with adversity because it's become so easy to give up because we're not taught from a young age that when the going gets tough, sounds like a quote in Lion King, but I am, the tough gets going.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we can't sit here and give up so easily nowadays. Yeah, it might sound like I'm in favor of toxic masculinity, but I'm not because I support men having to be like, if you need to be vulnerable, be vulnerable, open up, express how you feel. That doesn't make you weak. That actually makes you strong.
Right.
Being able to sit here and talk about what's bothering you and what you're facing, that makes you strong because you're sitting here and putting your pride aside and actually opening up instead of harboring those feelings. Am I saying harboring those feelings makes you weak? No. But life would be a lot easier if we open up.
Yeah.
Our ancestors went through these tough times and they didn't give up because they knew that if they gave up, their sons, their grandsons wouldn't be here. They wouldn't be able to enjoy the hard work that they put in.
Yeah.
But I feel like the younger generations of kids, they're so spoiled, they're so baby that when adversity comes in, they don't know how to deal with it because everything's given to them. And that's that quote right there. Good times create weak men because when you have everything, you don't know what to do when you don't have anything.
Yeah.
You don't know what it's like to start from the bottom. I work in the school department. I see it. I see kids that I see kids that struggle. I see kids that might wear the same clothes more than once a week. But I also see kids that wear new clothes every day. Expensive clothes, the freshest Jordans, the freshest polo suits or whatever, hood designer. I see kids in that too. I feel like that's one thing that we've gotten away from as a culture is the teachings of strength, not physical strength, but making sure you're doing what you need to do for the success of you and your kin and the people around you. Another one of your questions, your village. We can't do that when we're being coddled and when we're being spoiled and when we have everything. Because once something goes wrong, you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of these kids, when they grow up, when they face that adversity, like what are they going to do?
Yeah.
How are they going to be able to handle it if they've never had to go through anything? And obviously, I get it. Parents don't want their kids to go through what they've gone through. I understand that. I totally get it. I wouldn't want my kids to go through what I've gone through, but I can't make it easy on my kids. Because if I make it easy on them, they're going to struggle a lot more.
Right.
We have to have those tough conversations. We have to have those moments where, yeah, I don't really want to talk to dad. I don't really want to talk to uncle right now because I know what they're going to tell me is right and I know it's going to be painful. But I don't know what else to do. And I feel like a lot of these kids, they don't have that.
Right.
They don't have that person that they can go to that's going to tell them the truth. Because we're so politically correct nowadays where we can't hurt anyone's feelings.
Talk about it.
So I feel like that's where we're heading. We're in these good times right now. All these kids have iPhones. They have the newest of news. No one sat here and had to walk to school typing on a Nokia flip phone or typing on a Nokia brick. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't understand that.
Yeah.
They have the newest technology. They have laptops in school. I didn't have a laptop. I had my textbook, notebooks, and binders. You know what I'm saying? These kids are so spoiled with technology that God forbid, satellites go down and everything, there's nothing. And they can't get access to that, they're not going to know what to do.
Right.
They're going to be the first ones pulling out their hair because they don't know what to do.
Right.
I feel like we're in that generation of good times are creating weak men. And it's because we've been coddled and sheltered and babied for so long and given everything, where we're losing sight of what's really important. Yes, it's okay. Provide for your family. Give them better than what you have, but still teach those lessons. Say no once in a while.
Yeah.
Take away once in a while. Instead of
Yeah.
just giving. Yes, 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 yes. So I feel like that's where we're at right now. Yeah, toxic masculinity is one of those things where it's destroying the mental fortitude, the mental health of men, because we have this image we're trying to uphold. And we're losing sight of what's really important.
Yeah.
Yeah, you as a man, you're important, but you definitely have a job, and your job is to provide and build that family. But you can't build that family if you haven't gone through anything. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? If you haven't learned those hard lessons, you can't build. That I personally feel that's a man's job is to build. And it's not build up the people, it's to build. It's to make sure you're good, and then from there you build on that foundation. And that foundation is family.
Yeah.
That's biblical. That's Bible. That's law. So we as men, that's our job. We gotta build from the bottom up. We gotta build ourselves up, build our mental up, build up our physical bodies, our emotions. We have to build that up. So going forward, when our wife comes in and when we're having that family, we have a foundation built upon already. And a lot of that comes from up here. You got to be strong mentally. And a lot of us aren't because we don't know how to open up. We feel like if we open up, we look weak or we look soft or people won't take us serious because why are you complaining? You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to be the tough guy here. You're supposed to be the strong guy. You're supposed to be the one we come to for our problems, not the other way around. I'm sorry
So good, like you just said. No, listen, you said so much. I don't think you realize what you said. So my thing is, I like that. First of all, I like that quote that you said. In learning how to build, I think the problem is that if we talk about generational wealth, right? It's one generation teaching the next generation and no one is dropping the ball. It's learning how to say, I'm not just going to give you the money. I'm going to teach you how to make your money and how to have your money make money, right? If that's in property investment, if that's in stocks, whatever it is, I'm going to teach you. The problem is that we're so busy surviving that we don't have the ability to say, listen, build, do this, create this, and then, you and your kids and your kids' kids will be okay. And because there's no representation of a Black man in most of these homes, now we're left for mothers and aunties and grandmothers to step in and try to create the culture for Black men to succeed. The problem is that as strong as women are, as amazing teachers as we are very limited to understand how do I teach or coach a young man to be a young man in America, which brings me to the next question about it takes a village. Now, I am a product of a village. I was raised by aunts, uncles, cousins, you name it, church folk, you name it. I am a product of it, but I'm also female. And there's a lot of things available to me just because I am female that, makes things a little bit more easier. But as a man, who raised you? And also, like, what do you think was missing in you're still growing. You're only 25, you're a baby to me, but as you're growing and you're trying to evolve into this strong man, this empowering, impactful influencer that you are already, and you'll be more of. How did you get here?
Um, Obviously, my family. Anyone that knows me knows that I'm close to my family, but I wrote down specific people. Um, One of them, my grandmother. Um, she raised me. My mom had me young. If you know me, you know that. My grandmother raised me from since I was literally a baby. Um, she taught me things, and she instilled wisdom into me. Um, Me seeing her go through the things she went through taught me how to be a better man and not put someone I love in those situations and put them through what she went through.
Mm-hmm.
So she taught me how to be a man by just being the strongest woman she could be and seeing her struggles and seeing where she hurt and see where her pain was. That helped me become who I am today. That's one person.
Mm-hmm.
You have my mom. Um, Whether I may have been the best son or not, she always made sure I was good. She always took care of me, and obviously, single mother doing what she's doing. She had to provide for my siblings. You know what I'm saying? But I give kudos to her because she did her thing. Her son's a college graduate.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like she did her thing.
Yeah.
My dad being might have not have been there 24/7, which is cool. You know what I'm saying? But he was there when I needed him. You know what I'm saying? When I needed him the most. College, high school years, I can talk to my dad whenever I needed him. I was able
Mm-hmm.
to open up and say, "Yo, pops, I don't know what's going on. This, that, and third. What would you do? X, Y, and Z." You know what I'm saying? But also learn from his mistakes. He was young, and one goal that I tried my hardest to stick to, and I did was not to end up being a teen father. Growing up, that was my thing. Uzziah, you're not going to be a teen father.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you have kids, it's going to be with your wife.
Yeah.
That's no knock on my dad. That's no knock on any parents that have children out of wedlock. I was born out of wedlock. You know what I'm saying? I'm never going to judge on that because I
Mm-hmm.
am a product of that. But that was my goal.
Yeah.
Um, my late grandfather, um, my dad's dad,
Mm-hmm.
Deacon Arthur Burton, he ended up becoming my best friend for a point in time. Like
Mm-hmm.
before I went off to school, he was there every Sunday. He needed my help throughout the week. He would call me. Hey, I need your help, grandson. We would hang out, talk for hours, chill, watch football, watch baseball. And he would just impart wisdom. Um, and the last thing he said to me, he was like, no matter how hard it gets, hold on. Don't let go. You know what I'm saying? And um, being a young man of color, that's one thing I have to cherish is that the generation that came before me, he had to hang on.
Mm-hmm.
And that was his final word to me. Hang on, no matter how hard it gets. Don't give up. Keep pushing, keep fighting. And that's going to be something that will always keep me going.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it, like everyone else might have taught me something when I was a kid. Yeah, those lessons stick with me. But what my grandfather gave to me on his deathbed has probably been the most impactful thing in my life that I've ever heard from somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And when he's holding on for life, dear life, fighting, making sure he's seeing his loved ones, he's reminding me to hold on, no matter how hard it gets, no matter
Yeah.
how tough my mental health gets. Hang on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So my grandfather, part of my village. My pastor, Bishop Seymour, part of my village. Him and my grandfather, they taught me how to be a man. They taught me how to dress. They taught me how to be a leader, be a man of faith.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Still to this day, I'm close with my pastor. We
Mm-hmm.
spend hours together talking about whatever, sports, church, whatever. He's a part of my village.
Mm.
And obviously, now that I am the man that I am today, I have my boys, my friends, my group that I can talk to whenever I need someone to talk to, whether I may talk or not.
Mm-hmm.
They are part of my village. I feel like growing up as a child, you have your village to
Mm-hmm.
help you mold you into the person you are.
Yeah.
But once you get to that certain age, your village kind of changes
Mm-hmm.
because now you have to build your own village.
Yeah.
You got to have the right people in your village, that your new village, to build up your children and your children's children.
Mm-hmm.
Because the people I just named, they're getting older.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing, and it's tying into what the second question was, what was missing? It was
Mm-hmm.
someone my age now in that place for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying I needed a mentor growing up,
Mm-hmm.
but I definitely needed someone that looked like me, that came from where I came from,
Mm-hmm.
to represent. And that's one of the main reasons why I even became a teacher, was to be that face, be that representation of who these kids are.
Yeah.
In my however many years I was in school, I don't even count preschool, because I went to a all black preschool. Everyone that owned it, everyone that worked there was African American. Pretty
Mm-hmm.
sure all the students were African American. I don't even count that because I was private. But once
Mm-hmm.
I stepped into a public school, I had an African American teacher in middle school. I had an African American teacher in high school, and I had one in college. I had 3 male African American teachers.
Mm-hmm.
Don't recall having a woman African American teacher. I don't recall, but I had 3 men of color as my educators, but they were also 25 plus year my senior.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the same.
Yeah.
Now I'm working in the school department as a teacher at the age of 25. I look like them. I come from the same community you're in.
Yeah.
I don't live in Bridgewater. I don't live in Abington. I don't live in
Mm-hmm.
Stone. I live in Brockton. I'm Brockton born and raised.
Yeah.
I'm wearing Brockton right now.
City of
I
Champs.
live and breathe Brockton because Brockton made me who I am.
Mm.
You have the good, the bad, the ugly in Brockton. I've seen
Yeah.
it all.
Mm-hmm.
So these kids have someone that looks like them, someone that can relate to them, and someone that understands them.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I do what I do. No matter how rough and tough it gets, no matter how many kids don't listen, no matter how many kids give me a hard time, no matter how many hoops and hurdles I got to jump through, no matter the politics, I have a duty to these children, because if I had myself or someone that looked like me growing up, things would have been a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been able to be like, oh, hey, X, Y, and Z, how you doing today? Oh, can I talk to you real quick? You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I've been at my school for 3 years. I made it a thing. Whoever comes up to me and tries to give me a fist bump or try to dap me up, I'll do it, because you never know whose day is going to be. There was
Yeah.
this one girl who never talked last year, never spoke, never said a word. Every time I saw her, I would say hello. I'd give her a fist bump. I'm telling you, she never spoke. Never
Mm-hmm.
spoke. One day, I'm on my way home or I'm going somewhere, and all of a sudden, I hear someone yell to the top of their lungs my name. And it was that girl. What's up? No, not right now. Actually, yeah, come in. All right, come in. Come in.
We're adding one to the bunch.
This is my godson.
Zayded.
How many teachers at Brookfield look like you? Look like us? That you have? None. None.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
So these kids that look like us are in the same school system that I was in with the same teachers that I had.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like these kids don't have, they have it more now. Let me say that.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say that now. Because a lot of my peers that I graduated high school with and went to college with are now working in the Brockton public school system, which I love
Mm-hmm.
and I support. But there's still a lot more work to do because not every school has people between the ages of 21 and 25, 21 and 30 that are people of color working, not just
Yeah.
being support staff, actual teachers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know many teachers. Me and one of my close friends, we are the two youngest teachers in our school, and we're both minorities. We're both people of color,
Nice.
and we're both teaching major core subjects.
Mm-hmm.
These kids have representation. Oh, they came from the same type of environment that I came from. I can be great one day.
Mm-hmm.
I can strive to be successful. I
Yeah.
might not have to be a teacher, but oh, Mr. U, Mr. Lopes, X, Y, and Z, they went to college, they got their degrees. I can do the
Mm-hmm.
same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't
Yeah.
have that. You're good, you can
Yeah.
go. I didn't have that. I wasn't rewarded that luxury.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm being a part of someone else's village.
Yeah.
I'm being a part of these kids' village, whether they know it or not.
Yeah.
And me saying that, we have to be, we have to build our villages for the next generation.
Absolutely.
So my boys, my close friends, my kids, they're set for life. They got uncles and aunties that are gonna make sure they're good
Mm-hmm.
on top of their immediate family. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's what we need as black men. We need friends that are like siblings.
Yeah.
I have a whole bunch of brothers.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have. I got some older. I'm no longer the oldest if I want to consider my boys. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I feel like when it comes to a village, those people that I named were essential in me growing up. But
Mm-hmm.
now that I am grown, the words of my grandfather and some of the lessons that were taught for me from the others still carry me on. But the village that I have around me now is going to continue to help me mature and be the
Mm-hmm.
man that I'm going to be for my kids and my grandkids and so on.
Yeah. I love it. I was just sitting here gleaning from it because it is so true. Like we can't necessarily choose our village growing up, but once we are officially adults, it's like, all right, let me create the village. And then the beautiful thing about creating that village and understanding what the need is that you start to fill the gaps. I heard you talk about there was no gap filler for you. It was like your age and then like 20, 30 years plus after you. There's none like next week we'll be talking about representation matters, but the representation of the 18 to 27, it falls off. I don't know where we
Mm-hmm.
go. I don't know where our minds are, but we're just not there. And it takes a while for us to catch up and then say like, I have to go back. I have to go back to my community. I have to go be, like you said, become a village for someone else, become a mentor for someone else, become
Right.
a voice for someone else. But we do it at a later age, and they're looking for ages like you. I mean, I'm not that much older, but I needed to step in way before I turned 30 because I said this matters. Like if the only mentor someone has is 20 years their senior, that's a problem because they're gonna be like, you're too old and you don't understand, and times are different. But Uzziah, you're not too far from these Gen Zs or these little baby alphas that need a face that they can relate to, that have a story that they can relate to. So I applaud you for stepping up. But that kind of leads into the last part of this conversation, which is about mental health in the church. Now,
Mm.
like I said, you're a president, vice president, you're a teacher, you're a preacher. You know this. You're a pew baby. You were raised in the second pew of the church, sitting right behind Lady Seymour, right? So the question is, and again, this is another topic that is not touched upon enough. I'm sure it's there, but it's not touched upon enough. Is mental health in the church, and church hurt is keeping a lot of people out of the church, a lot of people of color outside of the church. We need to talk about, as leaders, as teachers and preachers, young ministers, of course, how do we uh, effectively lead if we don't know what the people, especially the young people that we're leading, are going through? Mental health is very prevalent no matter where you go, because if you have people who struggle, mental health is going to be there. So, as a leader, what do you see? As a teacher, what do you hear? And then how do we deal and help lead effectively, young and old?
All right, I'm gonna say this, and it might ruffle some feathers.
Go for it.
Mental health in the church
Mm-hmm.
does not exist
Go for it. Mm-hmm. I'm listening.
within the older generations. Let me say that, because obviously, us as young people, we're a part of that wave of mental health awareness. We're a part of that wave. We're a part of that. I don't really want to call it a fad. We're just a part of that movement right now.
Mm-hmm.
Where mental health is on Front Street, is being talked about on every platform possible. We're a part of that. So we are aware, and we're seeing the toxicity of the church.
Mm.
And anyone that knows church is that church can be very toxic. Yes, I'm old fashioned. I'm all about protocol and order, but a lot of times certain viewpoints are shoved down certain people's throats for so long that they don't even want to be in the building anymore.
Yeah.
How can, I'm not even saying this is everywhere, but how can someone, it's their first Sunday in church, they might not know anything about church. They come to church in some ripped jeans and whatever, and they get looked at as if they're a criminal.
Mm-hmm.
You might not have said anything, but
Yep.
if looks could kill, that alone will sit here and make somebody be like, ooh, this is how church folk are. I thought they were supposed to be God-fearing people. I thought they were supposed to be people that were close to God, but they're looking at me like I have a million heads. It's because I'm coming how I am.
Mm-hmm.
And even if the people that are in the church already have been in the church, the young people that have been in the church for years can understand it too. Our mental health has gotten overlooked for so long.
Mm-hmm.
It's been overlooked for so long. It'll be okay, baby. Just pray on it. Just fast. I support it. It is the honest to God truth.
Yeah.
We can sit here, fall flat on our face, and cry out to the Lord as much as we want. I love it. And I support that. And that's what we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes we need to confide in some people.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, Deacon, how did you go through X, Y, and Z? What did you do to make it out?
Yeah.
We don't always have to throw it on our pastors.
Mm-hmm.
Because guess what? Our pastors' mental health matters too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So as young people, we sit here, and especially young people in the church, we sit here fighting a fight alone.
Mm-hmm.
We have to deal with we have to deal with the pressure of our environments when we're not in the church. And then we have to deal with the pressures of what our calling may be in the church. But no one has asked me, how are you today?
Yeah.
And they genuinely care.
Mm-hmm.
How's life for you outside of the church? It's cool. Ask me about my ministry. I love that. It's cool. But You didn't ask me about anything else.
Mm.
How I'm doing outside of these four walls.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I sat here and just went through the most traumatic experience of my life, but you only care about what I'm doing within these four walls.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that happened to me, because I'm glad to say that the places I've been in, the people I fellowship with, and the churches I've been a part of, where we have those people, whether it's one or two, we have those people that always ask, "How are you doing? How's life? How's work?" Though they ask those questions that matter, because that one question can change someone's whole life.
Believe that. Yeah.
And as young people, and as youth leaders, we have to advocate more for our young people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We hear all the time, church is boring. I don't know what to do. I'm not involved, whatever. We need to step up to the plate and change things.
Mm-hmm.
Involve stuff that bring stuff to the table that will get these young people involved and want to be a part of something, because that can help them with their mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing a whole bunch of people their age involved in something, whether it's out of the church and in the church, whatever it may be, it's encouraging.
Mm-hmm.
Where someone can sit here and just be around good vibes and good people, whatever it may be, praising the Lord, or out bowling with church folk, or out to eat, or just in general. We need to bring that to the table.
Mm-hmm.
We need
Wait,
to have
hold
more
on. Before
conversations like
you
this.
keep going, you're dropping some gems, and I don't want those gems to just like sink into deep. So, something you said is, for one, checking on people in more than just the typical, like, hey, how you doing? How's work? How's school? How's da, da, da. People are suffering in silence,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the church, because no one is asking the right questions. We pass by people, we see them from time to time. Hey, how you doing? Don't really care what the answer is. Keep going, because we're just like, oh, I'm fine and I'm blessed, and we're moving on. Mental health is
We've
plaguing,
been trained to answer those questions.
right?
We know how to answer those questions.
Yeah.
Ask me something that makes me think. Ask me something that makes me really evaluate what I'm really going through.
I like that. Yeah, yeah.
We've been trained to answer the "How are you doing today?" I'm
Hmm.
I'm I'm doing well. I'm fine. We know, we sit here and we say we are well, we are fine, when we're really not.
Yeah. Yeah, and to further that point, I think we are hesitant to share because, unfortunately, the gossiping mouths of people just make us shut down and be like,
No, no, no,
this
no.
is
You can say it. Church people, because that's what we're talking about. Church hurt. You can say it. The
okay.
gossiping of church people, church
Hmm.
folk,
Hmm.
is the reason why we cannot open up as youth in the church.
Yes.
We
And
can't do
and
it.
it's the, like you said, if looks can kill, sometimes we have to remember, and I tell people all the time, communication is not just verbal. 90% of communication is what is not spoken verbally or audibly. It's your body language, it's your face, it's everything. So if a young person is coming to you, and we live in that day and age now where they might be questioning their gender, their sexuality, whatever, and you start to make this face, you already lost them. The point of what I'm doing here, and what I do as a profession, at what I do as a ministry, is creating the safe space for someone to just come out and say, this is who I am. I need a place where I'm not judged. I'm not looked at like I have five different heads just for living in my truth and experiencing what I experience. The problem is that the safe space is not always in the spaces that we would assume to, i.e., the church, right? And so we have church hurt because we have people who, like the Bible says, they like to say, no, yeah, I'm saved and I'm all of this, but they deny the power therein, which means I have a form of godliness. I can put up the front. I can wear the mask. I can, like you and Fred did that whole thing, unmasking
Mm-hmm.
something, like taking the mask off, is because we're so good at putting up a front. And it's like that front is hurting people more than it's helping. Like we are all suffering from something. Like I had a conversation with someone this Sunday where it's like nobody asked me these things. I reach out to them. I reach out to people all the time, but no one really checks in with me. And it's like, wow, that hurts, right? You know that meme that goes out there that's like check on your strong friends because we out here
Mm-hmm.
struggling too. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that we have to do, and it's improving on our people skills. But just making sure, like we were talking about a village, we were talking about community, we were talking about representation. How are we showing up for people is so important, and it's something we ignore way too much because again, a lot of people of color are stuck in survival mode. I need to make it through the next day. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I ain't got time to be worrying about you. My kids are acting a ruck. I ain't got time to be focused on yours. But it's like, listen, if we create a village, and you hear like the old school where they was like, listen, my neighbor knew about my kid, my neighbor had permission. Like, if you see my
Mm-hmm.
kid and they acting out of sorts, smack that child upside the head. Now, again, we understand the difference between abuse and discipline. I'm not promoting anything. What I am promoting is community and how we need to look out for each other instead of all of us feeling like we are ships passing alone in the ocean and nobody's reaching out, nobody is casting their net, nobody's saying like, hey, how you doing, what do you need? Like you said, the thought provoking, emotional provoking kind of questions. This is stuff that we always need to be mindful of. And maybe, just maybe, we can get the ministry right the way that Jesus intended it to. Jesus was talking to a lot of people that, according to religion, he should have never even been with. The Samaritan woman. What is a Jew talking to a Samaritan? Why? Jesus is like, well, I need to go that way. I need to go through Samaria, right? Or other people like the tax collectors, and he's like, I'm gonna go to that house because I'm supposed to be there. He said he didn't come into the world for those who are doing well, but he came to be a physician to the sick. And a lot of us are sick mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. um the time is escaping us, but I just love this conversation. Again, if you want to come back, Uzziah, we can bring you back in because there's so much that you have to say, and you're only 25. Kind of like that's creepy, but I mean, like you said, you're old school. You was raised by old school, so old school it is. Let the people know where they can find you and what you're about. What do you have coming up? What's new in Uzziah's world? Let the people know.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at the real Big Uzi. Yeah, that's what they call me, Big Uzi. Facebook, Uzziah Hilliard. Um, Honestly, right now I'm just in my bag, just working right now. Life has settled down since football ended. You know, it's been tough when you're winning games and you win a championship, and then you go from that to not having anything. Um,
Mhm.
but right now I don't have anything major coming up. Um, we'll have some ministry events coming up that'll be probably be posted on my pages and shared throughout. Um, all my young people on here, if you're in church, if you're not in church, look out for um, the Northeast District Council's young people's services coming up soon in 2023. Um, we have a lot of work to do with the young people in the church and outside of the church. Um, if there's one thing I can leave with you, anyone today, control the controllable.
Mhm.
Don't stress the things that you're not in control of.
Mhm.
Control the controllable. Handle with handle the things that only you have the power to handle. If it's out of the realm of your power, it's not something that you need to stress over.
Yeah.
If it's meant for you, it'll be for you. If it's not meant for you, it's not meant for you.
Mm-hmm.
Take it however you want it. Control the controllable. And that's it.
Control the controllable. That is so
Control
big
the
because,
controllable.
listen, as a counselor, we have people out here trying to control everything. And it's like, hey,
Yeah.
hold on. This is why we're stressed. This is why we're depressed because there's only so much we can handle. Uzziah, I will always, always, always say thank you for showing up. I appreciate this. We were coming from a church event and I said, hey, I'm doing a live. He's like, do you want to be a part of it? And normally Uzziah talks a lot. Now, if he's not on a pulpit, he's not talking this much, at least not to me. But the way that he was able to share with you guys, I am just, as a big sis, I'm proud. I'm glad that he was here. So next week we have someone, we don't know who, but we're going to talk about representation matters because, like Uzziah had mentioned very, very well and eloquently, might I add, representation matters, and representation in the school system, in the mental health field, wherever it is, representation as Black men, it matters. And I'm going to come back next week at 7:30. Thank you all who have shared this, commented, liked, loved, whatever it is. Please join next week, 7:30. We will be talking about representation matters. Please connect with Uzziah because he is really about doing the work. And I was glad I was able to pass the torch to him. And this is why, because you have ideas and you have that youthful je ne sais quoi that you can add. Anyways, thank you guys for coming in. Again, leave your questions if you have them. I appreciate it. I hope you guys have an amazing night, and I will see you later. Be blessed, everyone. Thanks, yous. Have a good night.